Shake up your weeknight meals with these hot honey pretzel crusted chicken thighs. It's a sheet pan dinner, so it's one dish, super easy, comes together really quick. This smells so freaking good. What's up, Traeger Kitchen? I'm Nicole, and today we are throwing it back to one of my childhood classics, which is shake and bake. So I grew up as a latchkey kid. That was something that my mom would call us from work and be like, did you defrost the pork? Did you start the shake and bake? We're gonna do a little twist on it. So we're gonna do it on the Traeger. This is a hot honey pretzel coated chicken thigh, and it's a sheet pan dinner, so it's one dish, super easy, comes together really quick. So the first thing we wanna do is marinate our chicken thighs. These are boneless, skinless. We're just gonna do in a bag buttermilk and some Dijon. I think it goes so well with pretzels and adds a nice little tang. And then you just wanna get as much air out as you can, give it a zip, and get it all mixed together. Now you can do this like morning of and let it marinate all day while you're at work. Come home and throw it on. If you're coming home from work and just getting it started, you can throw it in the marinade like this and just let it sit. As long as your chicken thigh and your buttermilk and everything else is cold, you can just let it sit on the counter while you get everything else ready. So we'll set this aside. And then we're gonna start on our veg. So you can do any combo of veggies that you want with this. I went with some pretty accessible classics, which is broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots. You could do, roasted potatoes. You could do sweet potatoes, whatever your heart desires. The one thing to remember is you need to keep them similar in size so they have around the same cook time. If I was gonna do something a little heartier, like a potato that might take a bit longer, I would just make sure to cut it kind of small. And we're just breaking these apart into little florets. And then same thing with our cauliflower. So I like to peel the larger carrots like this. If your grocery store has some of those little smaller ones, or even if you wanted to use baby carrots instead, you don't necessarily have to. I just give them a quick rinse and scrub. But these ones I like to peel. And then we're just gonna cut these ones into matchsticks. So we just wanna cut the top off, this little tail end, and then you'll cut it so it's roughly 2 inches, 3 inches. This one will do thirds. And then the smaller tail end, I usually will just cut in half and then half again. So you get a little stick like that. And then these ones, you want to cut a piece off the side first so you have a flat surface. And then I just go like that, and then those go in half. All right. Get those in our bowl, get rid of this. So we're just seasoning these with a little bit of olive oil. I like a nice caramelization on my veggies, especially with like broccoli and cauliflower. So I go a little heavy. And then we are using the Traeger Perfect Pork. I find this is so good on veggies. There's a little bit of herbiness to it. There's a tiny bit of honey in this rub, which really complements everything else we've got going on. And again, season however you like, but don't be shy with it. Okay, we're gonna set these aside and finish up our chicken. So I'm just using another large bag. We've got some pretzels, And you can do this in a food processor if you have it, if you want to use it. I like to use this because this is the same bag that we're just going to shake our chicken in. It's less dishes, less to clean up. It's kind of a fun way to get any pent-up aggression or anger out. So we're just going to smash the living daylights out of these. Okay, so you want these to not be a complete powder, but kind of like panko or like a breadcrumb. There's still some larger pieces in there, but this is what you want to make sure it'll actually stick to the chicken. If you go any larger, a lot of it will just end up falling off. So just fold that down. Grab our chicken, and you could use whatever you want for this part of it. You could use a Ritz cracker. You could use like cornflakes. You can just use panko or breadcrumbs, which we're gonna add a little bit more of this perfect pork in here with the pretzels to coat these. And then we're just gonna take our chicken thighs. You don't need to wipe them down or anything. Just kind of hold them over and let the excess drip off, and then just pop them right in there. I do think the combo of the pretzel with the Dijon is like such a classic pairing. I think if you try this recipe for the first time, definitely give it a shot, and then if you want to switch it up from there, have at it. And then you just close it up and give everything a shake. All right. Now, on our sheet tray, we have a little bit of parchment, and I'm just gonna give that a quick spray. You could use your olive oil again if you wanted, really anything just to help. It's not gonna stick to the parchment, but it'll help ensure that you get a nice crust or coating on the bottom of that chicken as well. It doesn't just sweat. And then as you do this, if you've got any bare spots like you can see on this one, what I will do is just take a little bit of that oil and spray that bare spot, and then just take a little bit more of the pretzels and just kind of pat it in. But we're gonna arrange our chicken on one side and our veg will go on the other. Oh, these smell so good already. All right, last thing, we're gonna add our veg. Looks like a lot, but it does shrink down. And this is perfect amount for a family of 4 or 5. If it's just the 2 of you, you can make the whole sheet tray, have it for lunch the next day, use it for leftovers. I'm gonna give these another just quick coat on top to make sure we get a nice crispy finish on the outside. Last thing we're gonna do is insert our meter. So this all depends on the size of your chicken thighs. With these ones, they're a little bit larger, so there's enough space for us to use a meter. If you've got smaller ones, you can use an instant read instead, but we're gonna go with this one for today, and I'm gonna go right here. So we're gonna throw these on the grill. We've got it set at 425 with apple pellets. We're gonna cook these for about 30 minutes. Our total finish temp at the very end on our chicken, you want it around 170. It's higher for chicken thighs than it is for chicken breasts. It'll give you a much better texture and a much better mouthfeel. But before we do that, these are gonna go on for 30 minutes. We're gonna pull it off, coat them in some hot honey, pop them back on, and they'll go another 10 to finish at that 170. All right, it's been about 30 minutes. We're gonna pull our chicken off and check it out. So you can already see how much those veggies have kind of shrunken down, and our chicken looks gorgeous. The last thing we need to do is we're gonna drizzle everything with a hot honey. We're gonna pop this back on for 10 more minutes, let that honey really sink in and like start to caramelize, and then we're ready to roll. We're cooking on the Woodridge Elite today, and it just so happens to have a timer, so we're gonna take advantage of that. All right, our timer just went off. It's been about 10 minutes. Our chicken's up to temp. Let's go pull it off and see how we did. This smells so freaking good, and it looks beautiful. You can see a lot of the crunch that's happened underneath this chicken from the pretzels and the hot honey. It's gonna be delicious. Pull this out. We're just gonna scoop our veggies onto this tray over here. Oh, they smell so good. All right. It's such an easy, like, one pan thing. There's only a couple things you gotta do, and I think the payoff is so worth it. This chicken is like so juicy and tender. It's got that nice crust around the edges from the mustard and the buttermilk and the pretzels. You can't beat it. All right, last thing we want to do is another drizzle of honey over the top. Totally optional, but I am obsessed with this stuff, so we're gonna give it one more drizzle. And the best part, I'm gonna take a bite, see how we did. I like these crispy, crunchy pieces on the edges. This is so good. It's such a good combo of the salty pretzels with the perfect pork rub, the combo of the honey going through from the perfect pork to the hot honey at the end. Our veggies are perfectly cooked. There's a little bit of caramelization on them, but they're not overcooked. They're still kind of crisp. Make sure you give this recipe a try. You can find it in the description below. If you give it a shot, let us know how you do it. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'm the one answering them. So make sure you shoot them over, and make sure you check us out next week on Traeger Kitchen.